So firstly, congratulations on publishing your fourth book, and we'll get into that in one moment. But could you please explain to our viewers who may be unfamiliar, what exactly is an evolutionary psychologist?
Right, great first question. So, an evolutionary psychologist is basically someone who applies the framework of evolution to study the evolution of the human mind. So, for most people, it's perfectly natural to study our pancreas or our kidneys or our lungs via an evolutionary lens because we're asking how did that organ evolve to be of that form. Of course, applying it to the human mind, sometimes people get upset because they don't like to think that our minds are shaped by the same evolutionary forces that shape all other life forms. So the evolutionary psychologist is simply applying evolution to study the most important organ of our bodies, which is our mind.
Absolutely. Okay, so what compels someone to get into this line of work? Like, what attracted you to it? Because I don't know many evolutionary psychologists. In fact, you may be the only one I know.
Right. So when I first entered the doctoral program at Cornell University, I hate to say it now, it's 1990, 31 years ago. Oh my goodness. I had taken an advanced social psychology course with a professor by the name of Dennis Regan. And about halfway through the course, he assigned a book titled Homicide, actually written by two of the pioneers of evolutionary psychology who were Canadian based at McMaster University. And in the book, they look at patterns of criminality via an evolutionary lens. In other words, they show that some crimes occur in exactly the same form, irrespective of culture, irrespective of time period, because they are driven by a biological mechanism. And this is when I had my epiphany. I found it so powerful in terms of its explanatory, parsimony, that I decided to then apply evolutionary psychology to study consumer behavior, which was the field that I was interested in.
Okay, very good. Now, you're an active prof at Concordia University, right? So you're on campus, you've seen many things, you're pretty outspoken on issues concerning free speech, free expression, and the tyranny of political correctness, etc. How have things changed or developed in these areas, specifically that you've observed at universities or at large?
Right. So I first witnessed it. So in a sense, it was nice that your first couple of questions, because I first began noticing it as an evolutionary psychologist trying to Darwinize the behavioral sciences. I'm housed in a business school. And so it was very strange for people to hear someone talking about how do you study entrepreneurship via evolutionary lens, or managerial psychology, or organizational behavior, or in my case, consumer behavior. And so at first I would get a lot of a resistance from fellow academics who thought that the application of biology to study human behavior was heretical. But then that original sort of forbidden knowledge made its way to every nook and cranny of the university. So it has only ramped up from the first instantiations that I saw a few years ago.
Okay, okay, so say since a few years ago, we commonly hear of students being, persecuted on campus and having their freedoms infringed upon. And I think the first time I've ever heard you speak, which was about 4 years ago, I recall you were addressing the plight of academics on campus and their freedoms and how they are being infringed upon. What is the climate for professors in this regard?
I think the greatest tragedy is that most engage in self-censorship. So they are actually at the conference that you spoke of at the Manning event. I had, if you remember, read a bunch of first-person testimonials that were sent to me from professors, from students, and in some cases from parents of students, where literally, if you read those emails, you would think that they were describing a reality in Yemen or Saudi Arabia or North Korea or China. But no, these were all from, regular run-of-the-mill universities in North America.